Hey guys, happy Thanksgiving. I thought I would post something totally different. This year, I'm going to post some stories that really happened to me on Thanksgiving. And this is a video that I made several years back. And I posted it on my Whispers from the Dark storytelling channel. And I thought, I haven't been able to do much work in the garage. I'm still cleaning it out. I'm putting furniture out there to get it out of the house. That's not something I want to video. So I thought, I'll go ahead and post it here on Moonbee Maker's Garage-O-Minium. This is the kind of video you can play and crank up while you're cleaning the kitchen, getting ready to cook, or starting to cut up things and get things prepared for your meal. Or you're driving to or from someone's house to go eat. These stories really happen to me. These are things that, believe it or not, welcome to my world, really happened and are funny. So I'm reposting it on Whispers from the Dark, and I'm posting it here on Moonbee Makers. I hope this video finds you healthy, happy, safe, and warm, no matter where you go or what you plan to do on Thanksgiving. Thanks a lot, guys. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Thanksgiving to me isn't the same without watching the parade on mute on the TV and listening to Alice's Restaurant on YouTube. I mean, to me, that's just the beginning of Thanksgiving. That's what makes it great. And of course, the dogs fussing and whining and growling in the background. You may hear that a lot while I'm recording these stories. So, and a cat wanting in. Lord, I tell you. These guys are keeping me hopping. Okay. Now, instead of telling you spooky stories or something kind of morbid or sad, I decided to do my Thanksgiving special today by telling you funny stories that have actually happened to me. Yeah, welcome to my world again. But everybody's got sad stories for Thanksgiving. I mean, people eat too much, they have heart attacks, they get in fights and fall and hurt themselves, and, or they have too much wine or beer or whatever they're drinking and say things to a family member and get kicked out, and then after that, they're cut from the family. I've heard those kind of stories. Thank God I haven't had to deal with that. I have had a few sad stories that have left me many, many years later with heartbreak still. But I choose to look at the funny times. I was talking to one of my subscribers that's a friend of mine last night, and told him I was, thinking about some funny things that happened to me on Thanksgiving years ago. And I was thinking maybe to put him in a video, ask him what he thought. And he said he was laughing so hard when I was telling him some of these stories. And he said, you got to do this because you got to put the stories out there. Because after people eat, they want to just sit around, and this would be great for people to listen to. He said, this is hysterical. This is funny stuff. These are dedicated to Raphael. This is for him. Okay, the first story is, I was about 19. I was working night shift at a trauma center. And there was a girl that worked with me as our unit clerk. And she invited me to her parents' house for Thanksgiving because I had to work the night before and the night after. And I really wasn't going to be able to get any sleep and fly all the way to Dallas to see my parents for the day to eat and then fly back. So I didn't take off. I went ahead and worked it because Thanksgiving's always busy for us. So I went ahead and went to her parents' house. Now her dad was an attorney, and I can't remember what her mom did, but they had a brand new home that was out in a housing area where they were building new homes. There was some construction going on further down the street. And I remember thinking, I'd been there once before, and I thought, I want to make a good impression. I want to, use the right fork, use the right glass. I don't want to do anything to embarrass myself. And so I really was doing everything I could to be proper and not do anything to embarrass myself. So I even wore a skirt, which I rarely wore dresses or skirts, but I did. I had a nice blouse and skirt and pearl necklace and had my hair up and the whole 9 yards. I was proud of myself. I looked like a fine young lady. And I was minding my P's and Q's and being careful. The meal was wonderful. Afterwards, we went into the kitchen and offered to help with the dishes, and we helped a little bit, but her mother ran us out of the kitchen and, go on, I've got this, I'm loading the dishwasher type thing. So we helped her put a few things up, and then she rushed us away. So we went into my girlfriend's room for a few hours, maybe a couple, hung out. Her dad was sitting on the recliner watching a football game, and my girlfriend that I work with, my coworker, changed clothes, and we were supposed to go to a employee party after, that evening. Late afternoon, early evening. And we kind of had to hurry because she'd take me home so I could change clothes and get in like jeans and regular clothes. And then we were going to go to the party and only going to be able to be there for a couple hours before going to work. So we go in to say goodbye to her dad. And I thanked him again, told him he had a beautiful house, and I appreciated them inviting me over for Thanksgiving, and I said my thank yous and appreciated their hospitality. And then we turned and walked away. And we were almost to the door, leaving the back of the den, going onto the back porch, whenever he called my coworker back in. And so I turned and started walking with her, and he said, no, no, I just want to talk to my daughter. Could you wait outside? And I thought, my God, what did I do? You know, I was dressed appropriately. I was careful with what I said. What did I do? So I went out and stood on the back patio by her car and waited and waited. It seemed like forever. It was probably only 2 or 3 minutes maybe, but it seemed like days. And I was almost in tears. I had worked myself up to where I was like freaking out, thinking, I used the right fork. I didn't ask for, anything. I thanked them. I was polite. I even offered to help. What could I have done that would have been wrong? And I was just like beside myself upset. My coworker came out laughing. And she wouldn't even tell me what she was laughing about. And that made me even more upset and kind of angry. And we got in the car, and she kept shaking her head and saying, yeah, he told me I could tell you or not, but I can't, I've got to tell you, I think. And I said, tell me what? What did I do? What was wrong? And she said, when you turned and we walked out, he noticed that your skirt was in the back of your pantyhose and you were mooning everybody. Thank God it was just him. But still, I mooned my host. Needless to say, they invited me back, and I could not go back. I was mortified. I could not go back there. But unless you've been invited over to a formal type setting and trying to impress your host, and mind your P's and Q's, use the right fork, the right glass, say the right things, and be perfect. And then you end up mooning your host, you've not lived. Okay, a few years later, several years later, I'm married. We get married in October. We moved to an Air Force base. And since we got there literally less than a month before Thanksgiving, his squadron, it was kind of a tradition. They give you turkey and all the trimmings to cook. They provide it as a welcome to the squadron thing. So they show up, bring all this stuff. And so I've got all this stuff, and I'm looking through my cookbooks. I'm calling my mom, trying to figure out how to do everything. So she says, you got to defrost the turkey. Asked me what kind it was, and walk me through it. And she said, okay, the morning of, get up early, and then, peel the plastic off, you open it up, and you take the innards out. And I said, okay. And she said, you pull the neck and everything out. So I go to do that. Of course, my husband gets up as well, and he's excited because, he's married, he's a newlywed, we've got a house on base, and here I am cooking a Thanksgiving meal, and, we're all excited. And he's standing over my right shoulder. I've got the phone in my left hand because I'm right-handed. And Mom said, now put your hand down into the turkey cavity and take out the bag that's got the giblets and stuff in it and take out the neck. I said, why would the neck be in the turkey? And she said, well, that's how they do it. Take the neck out. So I went to pull the neck out and automatically doubled over and started puking in the floor. I am not kidding. I really did. And he was like, oh my. And I think it was, I don't know if he was more freaked out about me puking in the floor or the fact that I pulled out something out of a turkey that doesn't look like it belonged anywhere near anything that you'd eat. And I put the phone down the counter and ran to the bathroom and finished puking and got paper towels and come and cleaned up the floor. And he had moved the turkey over to the other side of the sink away from the spot in the floor. And he was on the phone with her, and she was talking him through it on how to do things. You know, you baste it with butter and you wrap it a certain way and all that. And so he had to do that part. I was just done at that point. I mean, mom finally, or I got on the phone finally with Mom, and she said, well, what did you think it would look like? The neck. And I says, well, I don't know. I never really thought about it. I said, but that looked like aborted fetus or something. And unfortunately, I'd seen those kinds of things working at the trauma center. And to me, those kinds of things had nothing to do with food. And so that's why I completely lost it. And she was like, yeah, no, that's what that stuff looks like. And yeah, it tastes good later, but yeah, you just got to deal with it. And I was like, yeah, I don't think so. I'll buy it already cooked or pay somebody to cook it. And she just laughed at me and she said, you'll get used to it. Well, fast forward, it's cooking. I don't have it he dealt with all the stuff that needed to be put away so I wouldn't puke anymore. And I got busy with cutting the potatoes and boiling them and mashing them and cutting up onions and pickles and boiled eggs, boiling them and cutting them up and putting them, making potato salad, making deviled eggs. Made pea salad. I made a fruit salad. I started making my green bean casserole. I got my yams out and cooked those and then put the marshmallows on the top and stuck those in there to brown, and man, that house smelled good. You could literally smell each dish that I was cooking, and the smells just built up. The whole house smelled great. I mean, it was driving me crazy, and I was able to sample some of it, and it smelled so good. Well, it's ready. Fast forward 3 or 4 hours, it's ready. And he's like just chomping at the bit. When's it ready? When's it ready? Is it done yet? So I tell him just a minute, and then I start putting everything away. I actually wrap it in foil. I had it on the table originally, but I wouldn't let him in the kitchen. Once things started getting ready and the rolls started cooking, I made him stay out of the kitchen. He couldn't see any of it. It was going to be a surprise. So that anticipation was incredible. I mean, it was just killing him. So I wrapped everything in foil. I put it in the oven. I set some dishes in the microwave. The dishwasher, anything at all, up in the cabinets, anything at all to get it out of eye view where you couldn't see it. Then I blindfolded him. Yes, I actually have a blindfold. I have eye mask things that I've always had because I worked nights and needed to block the light during the day. So I blindfolded him. I told him, do not look. He said, okay. So I came in, I led him in the in the kitchen, set him at the dining room table, and told him, just sit there a minute. And then I reached up into the box in the closet above the washer and dryer there in the dining room where we had MREs. Yes, I actually opened an MRE. And he didn't know what I was doing because I was talking to him the whole time so he couldn't hear me open the package or whatever. And he wouldn't have even figured I'd do something like that anyway because there was food there. But on his plate, I set the MREs in various positions on his plate. And then I said, okay, now you can take your blindfold off. He pulls off the blindfold, looks at the table. No food. There's nothing there. Then he looks at his plate in front of him and he goes, oh, hell no. And then I swear I laughed so hard. He did too, and then he said, now get the food out here. So yes, that is a way to really mess with someone's mind. I mean, it's like short-sheeting their mind. But the look on his face was priceless. I've never seen, well, other than our wedding night, I've not seen that look on his face since then. But that was pretty good. The next story goes back even further. I'm a senior in high school. It's Thanksgiving, and I'm asleep. I mean, I'm sleeping hard. I'd been up late the night before helping Mom prepare a few things that need to be peeled or boiled or whatever the night before, so she wouldn't have as much to do the next day. So I helped her a little bit the night before. And I stayed up late and went to bed. I was sleeping. And I heard her in the kitchen. And I knew she was up and cooking because I could smell something. But again, I was sleeping. And I didn't want to get up yet. And all of a sudden, she opens the door. And she said, you might want to get up. Look outside. There's a turkey in the yard. And I thought, wait a minute. I'm dreaming this. It's Thanksgiving and I'm hearing her cook food in the kitchen and in my subconscious because I'm asleep and it's playing as part of my dream. This is just weird. And so I rolled over and kind of tried to block it. Maybe go into another dream or something. A few months later, I guess, she opened the door again and said, your daddy's out there chasing a turkey in the yard. And I turned and looked at her and realized that I was awake and she really said that. And I said, well, Miss Nar wouldn't be here on Thanksgiving. And she laughed and said, no, it's not your school teacher. It's a real turkey. Now see, I was in a work program the last part of my senior year to where I worked and got credit for going to school half a day. And at any time, my school teacher that was over that vocational work program could come to my house. And she did. Weekends, it didn't matter. Evenings, she'd be there. And she'd want to know how was work. she'd want to see my bank statement to make sure I was putting so much money a month out of my paychecks in the bank. I mean, all that was part of the agreement in the work study program. So at any given time, she would just show up. And I had all kinds of names for her. Mom even had a few. And so I thought when she said there's a turkey in the yard, that it was my teacher. But then when I realized, no, she's really saying that, I'm awake now, and what? And I rolled her, she said, look out the window. So I looked out the window, and sure enough, my dad was out in the yard chasing a live turkey. And I just said, this is too good. This was funny. I mean, better than a dream. So I quickly got dressed, ran out there, asked my dad, what in the world, where did this come from? He says, I don't know. It just came up in the yard, and I'm trying to catch it. And I said, what are you going to do with it? He said, I'm not sure, but I said, all right then. So it starts taking off towards the bank. And so I go in and get on the phone, and I call my mom's best friend, Della. She's like my second mom. And she's got two daughters. One, I think, a year younger than me, and another one a year or two younger than her. And I call them and say, hey, there's a real turkey. I'm going to try to head it towards your house. Will you help me try to catch it? And they thought it was funny, so they said, sure, we're game. So I chased this turkey through town. And I can't, it seems like I drove my car and like herded it, if that makes any sense, about 7 blocks to where I got in their neighborhood. And then I got out and then ran and found it. And then, you know, they were looking, they'd walked towards my direction. And so we met up and we found the turkey, and then we chased it through several yards, even into their backyard. And then it got away from us, and it got into the yard right on the other side of them. And I guess it was just tired at that point. And I know we were. And we kind of treated in a corner between these two fences. And I had them go and get my sister's windbreaker out of the car. It was in the back seat. I said, go bring me that windbreaker. We'll put it around the turkey and it won't be able to fly away, and we can pick it up. And they thought, yeah, okay, we're game. So they went and got the windbreaker. We wrapped it around the turkey. And got in the car. And then we went by and told Della that we were going to go to Denton, or we're going to go ride around a little bit, show the turkey off. She said, you kids have fun. And we're going to go to Denton and pick up some people to come eat. And she said, okay. Because my mom and dad had this thing where Thanksgiving, well, anytime, anybody's welcome to come eat supper or come eat. If they're hungry, they could show up. Mom and fix them a sandwich. But especially holidays. If it was Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's, Easter, any of those days, if anybody couldn't go home or didn't want to go home, or to be with family or friends, they were welcome to come over there. No matter who they are, what age, nothing, just come. They're always welcome. And I did that every holiday. I was always going into Denton and picking up friends, because we lived in Crum, a small town outside of Denton. And so I was always going into Denton and picking up people I knew that, wanted to come out and hang out and eat. And they'd come out, would eat and then just hang out in the yard. We had a great time. Well, I went into Denton. I have Tracy and Lisa in the back seat with the turkey. A real turkey with the windbreaker on. And I go into Denton to pick up my girlfriend, that was supposed to come back and eat with us. And she's just freaking out. She's thinking that's just the coolest thing ever, to have a real turkey on Thanksgiving in the car with you. And so we stop at I stop at 7-Eleven to get me a Big Gulp. And as I'm in there, I notice there's a college guy. And now, again, I'm young. I'm like 17 at that point. I think I was 17. Because I had a birthday just a few months later. And I think I was 18 when I graduated high school. 17 or 18. So I'm young. And he's probably 5, 6 years older than me. And he's got a frozen turkey dinner in his hands. And he's walking over the microwave. And I walked up and just stopped him. And I looked at him and I said, "Are you going to eat this for Thanksgiving dinner?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "You want some real turkey? You want some good food? Like home-cooked good food?" And he said, "Yeah, that would be cool. But this is all I've got." And I said, "No, put that back. I'm going to kidnap you." And he laughed and he said, "Okay." He was game. So he went and put the frozen dinner back. I paid for my Big Gulp. I said, and on the way to the car, I said, "I hope you're not a vegetarian, but I guess you're not." I said, "Because we got a turkey in the car." He said, "That's cool. I like turkey." So he goes to the car, opens the door, and he sees these two girls in the back. One of them's holding a turkey, and sees a girl up front with me. And he just looks at me like, "What the hell?" And so they move over. They move the turkey over. He gets in beside them, and they're packed back there. There's like 3 people and a turkey. I mean, this is like a big turkey, too. This isn't like a hen-sized turkey. I mean, nothing the size of a chicken. This is like a chicken on steroids times 2 type thing. This is big. Not huge, but big. Anyway, it takes up somebody's lap completely and then some. So the girls adjust themselves. The college guy gets in. I don't remember his name. I didn't really know him. I just saw him at the 7-Eleven and kidnapped him. But he gets in, and we're driving around getting to know each other. And people are driving by us, and they glance over, and they do a double take, and the girls roll down the window so the turkey can stick its head out the window. And we're having fun with this. So I go through the drive-thru at Jack in the Box and get somebody else a drink that didn't get out of the car and get one at 7-Eleven. And at the call box, actually at that time I think it was actually a Jack in the Box you talked to. It looked like a Jack in the Box with the speaker. And I told him, I said, "Well, do you happen to know what a turkey would want? Because everybody's going to have a drink now but the turkey." And they couldn't quite understand what I was saying. And she said, "I don't know what is good with turkey, but probably anything." And I said, "No, what would a turkey drink?" And she said, "What? Come up to the window." So I came up to the window so she could understand me better. She looked back and saw the turkey sticking its head out the window. And she started laughing and clapping and asking the other coworkers to come out and come to the window and look. And then a couple people that were in the dining room came up and started sticking their head up to the window so they could see out. And they were laughing and just cheering, and they just thought it was the coolest thing. And this turkey didn't know what to think. I mean, think about it. It's a wild bird. It was chased across town by a bunch of kids, wrapped up in a jacket and taken for a joyride, and then talked to. And this turkey doesn't know what to think of any of this. So we get our drinks. We start back to Crumb. And right outside of town, I pull over. And I open the back door. And I said, okay, let it out. And I undid the jacket. And I said, go free. Fly away. Enjoy your life. You were fun. I appreciate your time with us. I said, just bye, Mr. Turkey. And it was making the weirdest noise. Turned its head looking at us, kind of cockeyed, like, what the hell was that? And it took off running, and I swear to God, if there was turkey speeds in running, that turkey would have won. Would have won a gold medal. So, these are my funny turkey stories, or Thanksgiving stories. 1, I mooned my host. 2nd, I puked on the floor preparing my turkey and ended up I gave my husband MREs to eat. He went, oh, hell no. And then the real food came out. And then I went joyriding with a real live turkey. So if you have any funny stories to tell, put them below in the comments section. Because these things really happened to me. And there are still people alive that could verify them. Some of the people involved are no longer with us, but some are. But, yeah, really happened. So, when I think about the sadness, the people that I miss that are no longer with us, and for Thanksgiving, and the dinners, the arguments, the stuff, the stress, it makes me want to just go to bed and forget this Thanksgiving. But this year instead I decided, I'm going to look on the happy side. I'm going to look on the bright side because I know I can't be the only one out there with funny stories. Something funny that happened on Thanksgiving. Well, there's 3 of my 4 stories. I'm not telling you the other. But unless you mooned your host, went joyriding with a real turkey on Thanksgiving, or giving your husband MREs after puking in the floor, then you've not had Thanksgiving with me. Happy Thanksgiving, guys. I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for my new grandbaby. I'm thankful that I have friends that are my neighbors that help me and are there for me when I need somebody. And I'm thankful to have my channel where I can tell my stories and know that they're not going to die with me. And I'm thankful for you, the subscribers, for listening and giving me a chance to tell my stories. I hope these today has put a smile on your face. Y'all be careful. Stay warm. Happy Turkey Day.